What is up, y'all? Welcome back out to the bench in the backyard. My name is Jordan, and these are a couple of plants I'm going to be working on today. What I am doing is getting ready for the winter. It is November 17th. Um, so what I've been waiting on is a lot of my deciduous to change color, start dropping leaves, all of that fun stuff. So the next couple of weeks is going to be pretty busy for me. Going to be doing a lot of work getting all of my trees ready for the winter, getting ready to go in the cold frame, and all of that fun stuff. Um, Treat my deciduous and my evergreens slightly different. The evergreens won't be going fully in the cold frame the way I've got it set up this year. I'll show you all in just a minute. I've got half of it portioned off for a full cold frame. The rest of it's just windbreak. So I've got like half of it set up to be completely enclosed. The other half, it's enclosed on three sides. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But let's get started on this. We'll start working on this little 3 juniper setup that I've got. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull all of these rocks out. I've just been doing it like this. It keeps the mosquitoes down. It does have a crack right here. So it wasn't able to hold water. But to kind of show that kind of land and water differentiation, threw some just little pea gravel in here, and it's I'll be taking this out, washing it all. That won't be going back in. That way I can see any overwater, make sure that there's no water down in here over the winter that will make it crack even worse. The crack has gotten worse from earlier this year. I may be able to seal it. I don't know. There's another crack down here. So this pot may be maybe a wash. I'll have to either make another one for this, or I can just pull these trees out and use them in separate plantings. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here. We're going to move any branches that got thrown, so anything that's dead. Which there's a few tips. It's not too bad. A couple of actual dead branches, mostly on the inside. Most of it's actually, I mean, that all basically survived the whole year. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here. There's a few weeds. There is some Irish moss down in here that I need to get out, or it'll take over. And then anywhere, I've got some discolored moss down here where it's basically stayed a little too wet. We're just going to pull that out. And the rest of that moss will fill in. It's actually not bad. Some of it has died off, but some of it's okay. And this was sitting next to my dawn redwood. So it's got a bunch of dead dawn redwood needles all over it. We do have a lot of moss growth on these rocks, which is fine. I don't want to completely cover them up, but a little bit of moss on them is fine. I definitely want the tops of all of them visible. So anywhere that we're covering up too much of it, we'll just come in and clean out. But as this is basically a pinching, a landscape, I do want most of this moss to stay, just so that it kind of looks natural. And I've got a nylon bristle brush that I'm going to come in here and clean all the moss off of the trunks. A lot of this is going to be the same thing that I'm going to do with my deciduous trees as well. I'll come in, do any weeding that needs to be done, um, clean off trunks, clean off roots. If you have anything that doesn't want to come off with just a brush, you can step up to a brass bristled brush, or even a stainless steel if it's like a really thick thick bark species. Um, or you can tape your brush, dip it in a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and that little extra bit of um, the astringency in the alcohol should help you rub that off a little bit. Um, yeah, we want to get that off of this bark so that the bark doesn't stay waterlogged all year. Or all winter, I should say. Here I don't have a big problem with it freezing. We will get a few days that get down into the teens. Um, every now and then, this summer seems like it's going to be a pretty cold one. So we might actually get down into single digits. So by keeping that bark from being waterlogged and freezing, and you can just stop some of the breakage, the bark basically rupturing when it does freeze. You're not going to be able to stop all of it, but any help that you can give your trees, especially over the winter, it's the most dangerous part of the year for most of your plants. Obviously, not watering during the summer is pretty dangerous for them too, but that's not really what we're too worried about. As long as you're watering every day, watering when your trees need them during the summer, you don't really have that same kind of problem that you do during the winter, of just that where I am in 8A, thaw and freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw and freeze. because we will be down in the teens one week, and the next week it'll be 70 degrees, and there's just no way to keep your trees healthy if they're covered in moss and you have all those problems. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and clean out about a ½ inch of moss around each of these trees. Just to give them a little bit of breathing room. There's not a whole lot of algae buildup on those, which is good. But I'll rinse this out real good. And it's basically ready for winter. After this, I've got a little sprayer here set up. It's neem oil. And I'll just come in, make sure it, oops, sorry, didn't mean to spray y'all. Make sure I get good coverage all over. And what this does, neem oil, it'll actually soak onto the plant and it'll dry. It acts as both a fungicide and an insecticide. As the oil dries, you want to make sure and get everything from every angle as well. But as the oil dries, it'll basically form uh, an airtight seal on parts of it, and it'll basically suffocate any insects that are living in your tree, as well as the eggs of those same insects. So hopefully in the spring, we won't have any problems with it. So this is all soaked down. We'll rinse the basin part out. But it's looking really good. Definitely can see the rocks a lot better. At this point, you can also do a little bit of wiring on your trees. I'm going to let this one grow out this year, and we're going to do some pretty drastic pruning to it, just to get everything where it needs to go. This whole branch right here is probably going away. I haven't decided totally yet. I think it is, because I've got this back here that can replace it, and we'll just set that right in here. This has gotten out too long. You can't actually see the trunk of this back tree anymore, so this is a little out of hand. maybe just cut this back portion off and bring this down right here over the cove. But yeah, should be pretty good. I guess we'll move on to the deciduous. Get this out of the way real quick first. All right, so now what we're going to be doing, showing you what I do with my deciduous. It's basically the same until you get to the canopy. So we'll go ahead, get that out of the way. We'll come in here, just clean off any moss that's growing up the trunk. Doing this as gently as possible because this bark may flake off. We want to keep as much of that good old craggly bark as we can. That's also with like deciduous, especially something that's got like a quirky bark like this. Um, you want to use as gentle a brush as you can. Nylon brush would work. You could also use a toothbrush, a used toothbrush, or a new toothbrush if you want to just go out and buy a toothbrush for it. Just make sure it's a soft bristle toothbrush and not too stiff. That's why I suggest using a used one, which is a lot softer on your bark than anything else would be. And again, we'll come in here and get anything that's close up onto these roots. This is going to get repotted. I got a pot for it when I was down at Weigert's a couple months ago, or last month. So I don't have to worry about actually saving any of this moss, although I would like to keep it with this tree. But anything that is growing on the roots, we want to get rid of, because like with our conifers, we don't really want any of that nice bark to kind of rot in the cold and damp, or freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw. And that expanding water will just sit there and shatter your bark. So anywhere I see roots, I'm just going in, pulling all the bark, or pulling all the moss off of it, trying not to pull the bark off. And because this one's a Cabodaci, it takes a little bit longer because you got to get in between each of these little trunks. They haven't quite fused together yet. So over on this side, we've got a couple of high roots that we're going to have to take care of. We've got a couple of crossing roots, but that'll happen when we actually go in and repot. After we get our base done, it's time to come in here and defoliate. So you can either come in with scissors and clip everything off, or just come in gently, pull all the leaves. And the tree's basically dormant now. There's a few leaves that still have a good bit of green in them, but most of them have changed. Actually, I should say most of them have changed and dropped. So we've got just a few last hangers on, and that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for the majority of the canopy to have changed color. That means it's sucked all that chlorophyll into the branches that it will use for the first growth next year. We want to get, we don't have to worry too much about up here at the tips, because a lot of this is going to get cut back anyway. So we just come in, defoliate. Okay, that's most of the leaves gone. I left this one right here because that whole branch is going away. I didn't want to like lose it in the rest of the canopy. And then what we can go and do is anything that's really escaping the main profile of the tree, come in here and get rid of. Any crossing branches, we can shorten back. We don't want to do too much to it. We're just trying to improve ramification in the spring. We're looking for areas of long branch without any bifurcation. Well, that was a little more involved than I thought it was going to be. But as soon as I got all the leaves off, I saw some things that I needed to fix. Right here and right here, these were growing into the middle of the canopy, and that's just kind of pushing out and hitting us in the face. Yeah, we'll be able to see the inside right here, and then it kind of blocks off at this point. So that'll be nice. I think that's kind of the setup. I shouldn't have to do much pruning in the spring when I repot. And shouldn't have to do any wiring. There's a few crossing branches that we'll take care of in the spring when we replant or repot, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how much of that got cut out. I wasn't paying attention to the camera, and apparently my memory card is full, so uh, hopefully you got to see most of that. Um, so that's basically what I do. I'll go ahead and spray this with neem oil. I'm gonna keep working on trees. If I find anything interesting, um, then I'll make sure break out the video. It'll probably just wind up being. So what I did today on this one, uh, pruned off some crossing branches, kind of thinned up this portion of it right here, and then moved some of these side and back branches into places where they kind of fill in the gaps, as you can see. I'll keep an eye on this wire, make sure it doesn't bite in, and once it starts to bite in, go ahead and remove it. But I'm liking the way this is starting to develop. This may need to come down a little bit. Actually, it definitely needs to come down a little bit. I'll do that in the spring when I repot, and we'll just bring this down a little bit, swing this out this little bit will have to get cut off probably about right there. So as we bring this down and around, it'll have a little pad here, pad here, pad here, or billow, billow here, billow here, billow here, and work its way up into the tree. Should be pretty nice. This thing has been pretty decent. That actually, when I was cleaning it out, there's a little bit of lichen right there, a little bit of lichen right there, which is kind of cool on a tree that's probably only 10 years old, maybe. Um, Looks like half of this died off. I don't know where that one comes out. It doesn't come out. So yeah, half of that did die off, but it doesn't matter. I think it was like that when I got it. So yeah, should turn out to be a pretty decent tree. There's a cut right here that I made last year that's closing up pretty nicely. Um, it is nice being able to actually see into it and know that it's healing. But eventually, decent little tree. Like I said, we'll probably change the potting angle a little bit, tilt it up forward some, because if we go down, yeah, those kind of just disappear in the back. I like that a little bit better. We could come forward a good bit, and it'd still be basically where everything needs to be. We'll figure that out when we actually pot it. We'll see what the Nabari looks like down below it. Um, these are the only two high roots on it. This is the next highest root, but it's on the same plane as 1, 2, 3 other major roots, with this one coming out just below that one. So it should be okay. So hopefully we can take these two roots off. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see, because it is a Kabadachi like this, and it's not fused down here at the bottom. I may need to leave those for at least another couple of years, but we'll see. Hopefully this tree, actually this one, has this big root on it, which is pretty, feels kind of rotten. Yep. So we'll see. This one may be connected to it as well. And it does have something growing off the bottom. This other one has some roots lower down. It's got this one right here. So yeah, we should be able to cut these two off. Hopefully I'll be able to keep this one. I don't know. Uh, Probably not. I think that's completely dead. Yep. There is a root down here. We shall see. But yeah, that one is completely rotten. So yeah, you definitely want to keep an eye, especially if you've got um, a nice Nabari set up here at the top, um, to keep all the moss off of the roots so that they don't get fully so saturated and just rot through like that one did. So yeah, I'll be doing some Nafari work when I repot, but should be all right. If you liked what you saw this week, go ahead, subscribe, throw a like down low. If you didn't like what you saw, or you did like what you saw, um, and have like some comments or some constructive criticism or anything like that, you can say you hate me and wish I would just stop killing trees or whatever it is. Uh, Down below in the comments section. Um, Anything helps. I can't fix my trees if I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So, I mean, even if you say you shouldn't have cut that one off, I'll know that for next time. But I think clearing it up like this really helped to kind of be able to see through the canopy a little bit better. There's still a few spots that need a little bit of work, but we'll be working on that here in the spring. So until the next time I see y'all out at the bench in the backyard, just remember to grow them big, but keep them small.